Welcome into Wheelhouse, your elevation sports and lifestyle. We were off for a couple weeks, but we are back and busy as ever, as there is a lot of stuff going on, Matt. Good thing the weeks wasn't nothing crazy going on, but this last week or so has been absolutely insane. So we got a lot to dive into this morning. Obviously, the big moves in the NFL, we will dive into that, and it hasn't stopped as another big move happened yesterday. And also, it is Selection Sunday, and it is also St. Patrick's Day. We both have our green on, and this is mine kind of looks black because it's a super dark green shirt, but it is green. Matt has his green shirt on. Matt, how are you this morning?
I am doing great. I'm just trying to share stuff here. I got to get into back into the swing of how I do things. So I'm trying to remember how to share things here, and I forgot how to do it. But we got our.
Matt's in Facebook prison.
I'm in jail. I'm in Facebook jail for no reason really, no reason really. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here. I didn't have to work today. So that was a good deal, but I'm excited about Selection Sunday, Mike. More on the women's side, even though I kind of have an idea of where all those chips are going to fall, but even for the men, I should say, as we saw last night, I don't know if you got to watch the CU Buffaloes lose to Oregon in a pretty good game, but we saw that, and then everything's finishing up today. So yeah, I'm excited about Selection Sunday, but a lot of crazy football stuff has been going down, huh?
Yeah, and then if time permits, and I'm gonna make it permit because I want your opinion on this, we're gonna do our top 3 athletes, players, Matt, past or present, that you would have liked to see win a championship or that you want to see win a championship. So I was thinking about that watching. By the way, and I always get in trouble when I read Skip Bayless tweets. But
what are you gonna say? All in? Are you gonna go the all in tweet or no?
Well,
did you see that one?
Well, I don't know if you caught the end of that Golden State Lakers game.
Yeah.
But it literally took 20 minutes to finish, like the last minute and a half because the shot clock wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And
everybody looked like they were bored out of their mind.
LeBron's old, Steph is old, so they were trying to keep warm.
At one
point, LeBron just slammed the ball down for like the 3rd time because they kept blowing the whistle. You know what, man? And not only that, before the shot clock stopped working, they reviewed 2 different plays, and that literally took like 15 minutes. And even Mike Breen was getting frustrated. He was like, it's got to go quicker than this. So I don't know if you watched that. The memes are out now. Skeletons watching basketball.
Yeah.
I'm glad Golden State came away with the win, though. And, but anyway, Skip Bayless tweeted the ending of that LA Golden State game was embarrassing. So, I had to respond to him. He said that I'm paraphrasing, LA Golden State game was embarrassing, especially on national TV. So I tweeted back at him. I said, you're embarrassing on any TV. And
Mike rage tweets. Rage tweets.
It says it in my profile, so don't be surprised. It says in-game rage tweeter.
It's in the moment.
Xer.
Yes, Xer. Now you're an Xer now. You're a poster because that's what you post. You post when you do that stuff.
I would love to posterize Skip.
You're a poster. You're a rage poster.
I would love to posterize that guy.
I saw. I think you let one go about the Justin Fields one too. I think. Did you let something go on that one?
Probably.
Yeah. During the Nuggets playoffs, you're great. You're great.
It sucks when the games aren't on altitude, which I know a lot of people can't watch altitude, so that's why I'm paying like $1,000 for Fubo every month because I can't stand the national broadcast, Matt. And the playoffs were bad.
Yeah.
Bad. Nuggets were up by like 30, and I don't know. And I like Mike Breen, but I don't know. You would think all these dudes live in whatever city the Nuggets are playing. So anyway, a lot to get into. this morning, Matt. Let's start with the NFL because there's a lot to get into. The most current thing that happened. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback room now, Matt? They get rid of Small Hands Pickett. Let's face it. He turns out, Matt, behind the scenes, he was kind of being small hands petty because
Oh,
he did not want to be the emergency quarterback towards the end of the season for was it Mason Rudolph who was starting at that point. Um,
Trubisky. Yeah, I don't even know who was there. I think it was Mason that was starting.
well, how
Yeah,
about
but
this? The Steelers went from a Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky, and Kenny Pickett quarterback room to a Russell Wilson and a Justin Fields quarterback room by only giving up a 6th-round pick and $1.2 million.
and that dude, that's crazy. That dude was the Steelers might have like did they win? Did you give them a win here in free agency just because with those
Yeah, and then,
acquisitions?
yeah,
I
and then
mean,
they signed Patrick Queen on defense.
they signed Patrick Queen on defense, and I mean it's that quarter when you say quarterback room, it went from Kenny Pickett not wanting to compete with Russell Wilson for the job, which I thought that was hilarious how they put that anyway. Russ is here to compete with Pickett for the starting. That was
I mean, they both have
freaking.
small hands. I feel.
That was they're both little guys. That was freaking hilarious. Did you see Russ's new haircut too?
Oh, did you see his new? What's his new? He has a new catchphrase now.
It's what is it? Let's go, or let's roll, or
I mean,
let's
zero
still
research, all reaction.
still oats. Wasn't it something? I mean, they got to work on that.
Let's make steel,
Russ has to work. He's got
steel
to
sharpen steel.
black and yellow, like black and there was something that he was rolling with, but but yeah, that dude's such a cornball, man. And I've said this before when he was here in Denver as a quarterback, I felt like just his personality is very, very corny. He's really
Steeler Nation. Here we go.
here we go. Here we go. Didn't Dak Prescott already do that? Here we go. Wasn't that his
I'm
whole
pretty sure every person that's ever lived has said, "Here we go."
anyway?
Let's Ride was a little bit more unique.
And it was so. Did you see the meme of him in the Austin Powers meme of the car backing forward, backing up, and it said when he kept saying "Let's ride" and
Oh yeah.
that was freaking hilarious.
And there's all the memes that says "Let's ride," and it was like a car on fire.
Car on fire.
It said, "Let's ride." There's a picture of the bench. Yeah.
Let Russ cook, and he's standing in the photoshopped in the kitchen. Everything's on fire behind him. This is wild. Like at the same time, Pittsburgh has a great situation because they have Russell Wilson, and when if Russell was, even though I think he's going into a tremendous situation with Pittsburgh, they're going to do everything that he loves to do that makes him successful. Just like you look at what he did in Seattle, they're going to do the same thing in Pittsburgh. So that's a positive there. But you got Fields right behind him, and is there going to be like is Russ, and they're even talking about, I don't know if you read this, but they're talking about doing a long-term extension with Russ at the end of the season. So they're going to get through this season with him at his pay and whatever they're looking at. And I think they could have a successful season this year with whoever is at the quarterback, in particular Russell Wilson. If he's a quarterback, that the Pittsburgh Steelers could have a successful season this year. But yeah, I mean, it was a 6th rounder. Like let's talk about that. The dude was he picked 11th in the first round like 3 years ago. Everybody was losing their brains here about did they make a big mistake, and I think even Mel Kiper at the beginning of this year was looking at the Bears that they can possibly get the 8th pick and have all those picks in the top 10 picks that for Justin Fields, and he goes for a 6th rounder. Is this something? And I don't think that I don't particularly think the Broncos should have did this. But are you kind of, as a Broncos fan, like if that's all it took, is how come other teams didn't make this decision? Not just the Broncos, but there's a number of other teams that could have given up a 6th round pick. How come nobody wanted Fields?
Well, and one of the reporters here locally in Denver from the Denver Post said the Broncos thought they would have to give up a 1st rounder for Justin Fields. I think a lot of teams thought that they would have to give up at least a second rounder for Justin Fields. Not only because he's only 3 years in, obviously he battled a little bit of injuries last year because of the style he plays. I think that scares a lot of people off as well. But for a sixth rounder, and then depending on playing time, it only turns into a fourth rounder.
Right.
I mean, either way, it's a steal. And I don't think he's the kind of quarterback that Sean Payton likes or wants anyway. No. But for a sixth rounder, shoot, you make that work.
Right. You just get it. Like it's a sixth rounder. What are you going to do with that sixth rounder? Grab a potential.
That's what I tweeted, by the way, Matt. I said Mike Tomlin's giving a middle finger to Sean Payton.
Yeah. I think you did so. Yeah, that's right. And seeing this too, it just with all the with all the, you can see what some of these teams, what they're doing. Like there's talk that 4 of the top 6 quarterbacks are going to go in the first top 10 picks, I think, and there might even be more. Now I don't know exactly where they're going to go. The draft is such a crapshoot, in my opinion, anyway. And I love to follow the draft experts and stuff like that to see how they put out there, what they put out, because they put in way more work than I do, or I even want to do in this situation. But it's kind of looking like a lot more. There could be a lot more quarterbacks gone in the top 10, at least top 15, top 20 picks than we anticipate, with the way things are going, with all these free agent quarterbacks getting picked up so quick. And the one thing too I want to talk about is that Mac Jones trade for Jacksonville. Great. That was kind of, does that make Trevor Lawrence kind of an interesting target now potentially?
Well, is this will be Trevor Lawrence's 4th year, right? So 4th, right? So he's basically at the end. I think they do that 5th year option,
right,
on rookie deals. So this is going to be an interesting year for Trevor Lawrence. I think he's on the hot seat. He's either, I mean, they made the playoffs. That was it last year or the year before, barely. By beating, and then they beat San Diego, coming back from 22 down to beat LA Chargers. And I think this is a make or break it year for Trevor Lawrence. Not only that, Mac Jones, I don't know. He's just an interesting quarterback as well. Remember they won a game by kicking field goals the whole time.
And I think they throw twice or 3. It was a Buffalo game where they won. Yeah, and I wonder with Mac Jones, I wonder if it was a regression for Mac Jones or if it was a coach thing, because that was the whole Belichick throwing the special teams coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and he had like 3 or 4 coaches that were offensive coordinator, and there was a lot of, and he had Bill O'Brien, who hates everybody, absolutely hates everybody. So it was a tough deal for him, I think, being a young quarterback, because I don't know if he regressed in the skills department or if he regressed in the mental department, just because he couldn't wrap his head around all the BS that was going on there in New England on the offensive side. So,
and it's funny too, because this happened post Bill Belichick era. So,
right.
So I guess who's the coach in New England?
Gerard Mayo.
Yeah, I guess he's not a Mac Jones fan.
Right, and then that tells me they're going quarterback. Like, as soon as they did that, that tells me the Patriots.
Because Brissett went back there, didn't he? Was it Brissett who re-signed back there?
Yes, I believe Brissett did. Yeah, he did resign. He did resign there because he was in. Where was he last year? Indianapolis.
Somewhere.
He was in India. He was in Indy last year, and then yeah. So
see who's in Indy now? Big Shane Falco.
Big Shane, the comeback player of the year.
Joe Flacco.
They didn't even want him. Why didn't they take him back in Cleveland?
Because they signed, or they got who did they get? Zero research, all reaction. But well, obviously they're depending on Deshaun Watson from staying away from massage parlors, but they did sign they signed Jameis Winston, so he's going to be backing up. I mean, that's a dangerous. Yeah, I mean, watch out. Not only
watch out all the W's.
Watch out buffets that have crabs and
crab
legs and
food shaped like W's.
The mistake by the lake is in trouble this year.
They're in big trouble. That's wild that they didn't bring back.
I would have loved. By the way, I would have loved to see Jameis Winston in Denver.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
He has a. I mean, was he there when Sean Payton was there last,
Yeah.
or did they not overlap?
Well, he was there. He was there like that
I'm
last.
surprised. I mean, Sean Payton's pretty much bringing everyone who played for New Orleans.
That right. That
besides
exactly.
Drew Brees. I mean, I'm sure he tried to talk Drew Brees out of retirement by now. But
that's why I thought he was coming. That's why I thought that Jameis Winston. I thought Jameis Winston was going to be the guy last year, and then they went with Stidham. So
speaking of Stidham, have you ever seen that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meme where Will
yeah,
Smith is just standing in the middle of the?
that's Stidham.
That's Stidham right now in the Broncos locker room.
Are you?
QB room.
Do you think that they like? I thought the Broncos would be in on Sam Darnold a little bit more, which it looks like they kind of were.
Right?
But he went to Minnesota. They were talking about
making moves too. The NFC North making moves right now.
I know in Minnesota, and did you see what my Packers did?
Yeah,
Josh Jacobs.
By the way, by the experts, rated that a C minus. So I don't know where you. I don't know if
I think they went with that
because the money.
No, I don't know if they rated it if they're looking at based off the player or what they got and what they didn't get, because they re-signed AJ Dillon, but they lost Aaron Jones.
Yeah,
because it was like a mix of emotions.
Everyone's making a big stink about these guys leaving their team and going to a division rival. Like,
I didn't care.
Who cares?
I don't care.
Like Aaron Jones going to the Vikings. Did you see what his press conference? They were like, what do you make of the Packers moves? And he was, dude, I don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. That's
like, I'm on Minnesota now.
The most of that stuff is made by the media in whatever market you look at. The sports entertainers are going to push that narrative to try to make it entertaining.
And was it Tiki Barber is pissed?
Yeah, he's mad at Saquon Barkley because he went to Philly.
And if you're Saquon Barkley, you're like, dude,
I love that move. I love that move. Yeah,
I mean,
I love that move for him.
There might be no tush push anymore because Kelsey retired, but
Kelsey's gone. And if you look at that situation there in Philadelphia, if Sirianni has the locker room still, which there were a lot of people saying that he was getting close to losing that locker room after the way that they finished the season last year. If he still has that locker room, that team could be freaking mean next year. With Saquon Barkley back there, oh my gosh!
Because they brought in Kellen Moore and Papa Vic. Remember now, so
Papa Vic's in there with his Werther's Originals and his singles ready to mingle.
Yeah, remember when he was sitting courtside at Nuggets games just by himself?
I thought he was dating some hot little 40-year-old girl that he's Papa.
Man, is he pulling a Hugh Hef?
I think he is. The last I remember, he was a ladies' man. You know, he was a real ladies' man.
Yeah, he's got that DC money.
So yeah, I was that Philly move. Philly looks good. Like they're loading up next year. Dallas didn't do anything.
No.
And Drew Lock went to New York, the Giants. Do you think Drew Lock's going to be starting for the Giants?
I think he's going to get a lot of playing time.
I think so too.
I mean, Daniel Jones he was looking better, and then he got hurt. And I don't know. That Giants team is kind of a mess right now. But
Dayball's not going to be there I think this is his last season there. And
he's only a year and a half, 2 years removed from winning Coach of the Year. So
yep. And remember when he was the bee's knees, he was the greatest coach, or he was gonna be the great. Like it was just crazy to see how that came down. But I think Drew Lock's gonna get a lot of playing time there. But yeah, I think the loser in that division is the Cowboys. They didn't do anything. And
yeah.
Van Der Esch, isn't Van Der Esch gonna be gone too?
They just released Van Der Esch.
Yeah.
And Michael Gallup yesterday.
Yep, and Michael. I was just gonna say, I thought Van Der Esch was gone.
And they lost Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard's gone.
Yeah. So, and I saw something where they might bring back Zeke. So they're
in shambles too. That team's in shambles.
I want to go back to the NFC North because the Vikings were making moves. I still think the Vikings may draft a quarterback.
I do too.
I'm right there. Sam Darnold is
No, he's a bridge guy.
Yeah.
That's why if you look at all these signings, they're not guys to bring in to be the guy. They're bridge guys. Like there's no I thought like Sam Darnold could be a Rich Gannon, Trent Green type. You know, one of those guys that go to other teams and have playoff runs and have even maybe, Super Bowl 6, get into the Super Bowl. like the Raiders did with Rich Gannon in when that what was it 2000 what was that Super Bowl 2002 when they played the Tampa
Bucks,
Bay.
right?
Yeah, the Bucks. So I
And then and then John Gruden got traded,
and then John Gruden got
and
traded.
then the very next year he beat was it I don't know if it's the very next year, but then he beat the Raiders as the Bucks head coach.
Yeah, yeah. So there's I didn't see that guy out there. So I think a lot of those teams, like I said, like you just said, the Vikings, the Patriots, the Redskins, or I'm sorry, the Commanders. Sorry, they teams like that are gonna they're taking quarterbacks, and we've already seen what Fields done, what Fields with the Bears did. So yeah, you got the Bears, you got the Vikings, and the Lions. They didn't really add players, but they signed Campbell to an extension, and then they signed their GM, I believe, or president or whoever it is, to an extension as well. So they got better. And the Packers, we saw what the Packers have done. They got better on defense, and I feel like they got better on offense.
And speaking of the Bears, Matt, their wide receiver room is pretty scary. DJ Moore and now Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly, if they draft right, Marvin Harrison Jr., that's a pretty good trio because they have 2 first-round picks, Matt. So they I think obviously now they're going to use that first pick for all intents and purposes, Matt, is going to be Caleb Williams from USC. And especially now that they traded Justin Fields, obviously they're going with the quarterback with that number 1 spot. So that's pretty obvious. And I don't know, man, that NFC North I feel like got a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. Between we'll see what the biggest question mark is the quarterback room in Michigan, or not Michigan, Minnesota, and
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Those are the biggest question marks. And I think Minnesota has enough with Sam Darnold there in place to do what they need to do to get whatever quarterback they have coming along. But you look at what Jordan Love did coming down the stretch and what the Lions did coming down the stretch. Those two teams could be looked at as potential Super Bowl potential, however you want to NFC like candidates to come out of the NFC in a Super Bowl position. So it's the NFC North is definitely. I mean, you look at all those years it was down. You would have the Vikings kind of come up and nip at the Packers a little bit, but all those years that the Packers own that division and starting to look at it now, it's on its way back up. And you and I both have been fans of of that division for a long time, with being fans of teams in that division. We know how good that division can be when it's pumping. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it turns out, and I'm excited to see what quarterbacks end up in the division.
And speaking of the Eagles, do you think Kenny Pickett's going to not want to play emergency quarterback with the Eagles? Because he's not going to play unless something dramatic happens to Jalen Hurts.
If I'm Kenny Pickett and I pulled all of what I just pulled to do what I did, and who knows, maybe it could have been in the cards anyway.
Do they sell supplements to make your hands bigger?
I don't think so, because I think the hands.
He's just screwed then.
He's hosed, man. And did he go to the right part of town too? Like, because he was in Pittsburgh, right? Yeah. Now he's in Philly. So
he just drove his car over there.
He just drove over there. They're like, hey, this works out because you can drive. We don't have to get you a plane ticket. You could drive there.
And then, he pulled up to the employee lot and they're like, sorry, you got to go to guest parking.
You got to go to guest, but we don't have you set up in the system yet. You're not set up in the system. This is too soon.
Yeah.
You got to go over here. This poor guy. And he's not going to, like, in the best case scenario for Kenny Pickett at this point is for everything to work out, Jalen Hurts to play, and maybe he'll be sitting watching a Super Bowl game from the sideline. I don't know.
Hey, that's what Carson Wentz did. And then, or that's what, what was the dude's name? Nick Foles did.
Nick Foles? Yeah.
And then
he made a lot of money.
Yeah, and then Carson Wentz got hurt, and guess who was Super Bowl MVP?
And he made a lot of money after that and didn't do a whole lot.
8 teams later, he's done. So,
yep. And hey, as we're talking about that, how about I wanted to ask this question to somebody. Now I got somebody to ask it. I don't know if you want to say better or worse in this situation, Sam Bradford or Kirk Cousins, because their careers are very parallel. Sam Bradford, number 1 draft pick. I know Kirk Cousins was the number 1 draft pick, but Sam Bradford was drafted, and then he was traded. He was traded. He was first drafted from picks that were acquired in a trade, if I can remember correctly. Then he was traded for picks to another team. Then he was traded for picks for another team. Then he was signed. I don't know how many millions of dollars Sam Bradford has made, but I want to say him and Kirk Cousins are right neck and neck. Who's better as a quarterback? Because Sam Bradford got a lot of opportunities.
So Sam Bradford made $130 million in his career.
And where's Kirk right now? Is he like 90 something, or is he there?
Well, did you see the interview he had with, I forgot who it was, but they said, a lot of talk is about your career earnings. And Kirk Cousins said, I'm not going to apologize for that.
No, I wouldn't either.
He's just been in good positions to where, that he's been able to get these contracts and stuff like that. And were you surprised that Atlanta came out of the woodworks and snatched him?
I think the contract surprised me. I thought,
because this is his last big contract, right?
It's got to be. Unless he's super successful, he might get another one, but I doubt it. And unless he goes in there and just goes crazy. I thought that's where Fields was going to go. It just looked like that was where Fields was going to go, but instead they went the opposite way quarterback model, player type, and they went with Kirk Cousins. So yeah, that's the money that they gave, but I guess you're going to have to give the thing with Kirk Cousins and why he's gotten so much money is because he's done it in years and in situations where he's the best, like he's the top tier. If he would have did this last year, I mean, I don't know. I guess you can't say that because Lamar Jackson was available last year and nobody really offered him anything. And he ended up staying because everybody knew Baltimore was going to match him. So that was, I mean, I guess that's a bad example, but if you think about when Kirk Cousins came out the first time, who was his competition? It was Keenum Case. Remember? Yeah. It was Case Keesum.
Case Keesum, yeah.
So and that was between the Broncos and the Vikings. And I mean, that's why he got all that money back then the first time was, I think, because he was just the better of the two that was out. And then in this situation, again, he's coming off an Achilles, an ankle injury. And they threw all that. We don't even know how good he's going to be, if he's going to be as, nowadays people are coming back from these type of injuries and it's like, it's nothing. So hopefully that's the case with him. But yeah, I mean, it's timing, I think. And his agent's pretty damn good.
Yeah. So the top 10 all-time NFL career earnings list entering this year, Matt, and only 2 of them are not quarterbacks. So Aaron Rodgers leads this list, by the way. So he's made $342.5 million over his career. Kirk Cousins is number 2, Matt, $331.7 million. So you and then you add on the Atlanta contract to that. Matt Stafford, $328.3 million, but him and Aaron Rodgers at least have 1 Super Bowl to their name. Russell Wilson, $256.4. At least he's got a Super Bowl to his name. Ryan Tannehill.
No kidding.
And speaking of which, still has not signed anywhere. 196. So this is the discrepancy, Matt. It goes from Russell Wilson at $256 million to Ryan Tannehill at $196 million. Here's a non-quarterback. Can you guess the first non-quarterback?
I would say I'm going to guess a D lineman or a cornerback, maybe.
You got the D, more of a defensive end linebacker.
Oh, Von Miller?
I'll say edge rusher.
Was it Von Miller or Mack?
It is Von Miller. Yeah. $179.3 million. Shane Falco, $175.7 million. Joe Flacco, of course. And then 3 of these guys are non-quarterbacks. So here's the next non-quarterback. Can you guess?
I'm going to go offensive lineman.
Yes.
Let's go Whitworth. No,
Trent Williams.
At
$168.7 million. And then the next one is another defensive lineman. Can you guess it?
Aaron Donald. No, I don't know. I got it.
I'll give you a hint. One coach called him Donkey Kong at one point.
Donkey Kong Sue.
Yeah.
Dominican Sue. Dang, that much? He did get paid a lot of money, huh?
$168.2 million. This was
who gave him that contract? Was that Tampa Bay?
It doesn't say.
Or Detroit?
I mean, he remember he went to Tampa Bay. He went to the Rams for a year, didn't he? I'm sure they gave
Yeah,
him.
he was in the Rams because didn't he get drafted by Detroit?
Yeah, he was on Detroit, and that was when he was like stepping on faces and hands.
He was dirty.
Yeah,
That
and
was a
then
dirty dude.
number 10 on this list, Derek Carr, 165.7 million. Is he signed yet? Is he anywhere?
I feel like he's still in New Orleans, isn't he?
I don't know. Oh, I guess he is. Yeah. Speaking of the Raiders, they lose Jimmy Galapagos Islands, so he's going to be a backup again to Matt Stafford with the Rams.
And all these guys that were top tier quarterbacks coming out last year, even the year before, are all backup quarterbacks now. Doesn't that tell you how bad we are in the NFL? Remember, that goes back to how bad the NFL sucked this year.
Yeah.
All these the quarterbacks are crap.
Speaking of quarterbacks, is now Geno Smith on the hot seat because they made a trade and they got Sam Howell from Washington. So I don't know if Geno Smith's time is taken over there, but Sam Howell had a decent year for Washington this year, Matt. He was named a team captain. He had a lot going for him. He didn't really have anybody behind him breathing down his neck. So who did Washington get? Didn't they sign a kind of a bigger name?
As far as quarterback goes, did they sign somebody?
Yeah. By the way, if you're first time watching this, though, it's zero research, all reaction. So
well, see, we got a guy that
he's sleeping.
he's either awake, asleep, or he's got donut cream and powder all over the keyboards. He's useless. He's useless, and we try to do our best. We do our best here at the Wheelhouse. But no, don't. I don't. Washington's
they signed actually Marcus Mariota, which means they're probably going to get somebody else.
Well, yeah, that's and they're one of the teams that are in that category of drafting quarterbacks.
Yeah, all they have right now is Marcus Mariota.
Didn't they? See, I liked Sam Howell when he was coming out of college. I felt like he would have been a good second day draft pick for a team, like the Broncos potentially that are looking for a developmental guy just to throw like a rookie guy. I feel like he could have probably been better than Brett Rippon because that was when Sam Howell came out. I feel like he could have been better than that when the Broncos had Brett Rippon, I should say. But anyway, yeah,
Speaking of Brett Rippon, he is in Chicago.
So. He's in Chicago now? Because from here he went to Los Angeles, the Rams, right?
Yeah, but then the Rams got Carson Wentz, so then they released Brett Rippon, or he went to the practice squad.
He went to somewhere, but yeah, I mean, that's why I'm saying I think there's going to be more quarterbacks taken in the top 10 than people think. I think somebody's going to panic, trade up, and go get one of these, and it's going to be like a Bo Nix type that gets overdrafted, and unless one of these teams, like that whole word love, if you love a guy, which I agree, the draft should be if you love a guy, if you deem that's your guy, go get him. But somebody's going to overdraft on these quarterbacks because there's so many quarterback needy teams. The Bears, they pick at 1, they need a quarterback, right?
By the way, if you hear that drilling sound, that's a woodpecker.
I was going to ask you, that sounds like a woodpecker.
It is. And this guy's not even sitting here anymore. Maybe he took the.
Is he taking care of the woodpecker?
Pellet gun and yeah.
Good. Tell him to go take that dude out.
I think he's old school like that, so he may have a slingshot.
Is he like Dennis the Menace?
Yeah. Your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans moves? Because obviously you lose a big name in Derrick Henry, who goes over to Baltimore.
That's huge.
Baltimore here in a second. You add Pollard from Dallas, so he's going to be your starting running back, and he finally got a chance to breathe a little bit this year, Matt, with the loss of Ezekiel Elliott. So he goes over to Tennessee. Tennessee also signs Kelvin Ridley, so that wide receiver room is going to be pretty decent with DeAndre Hopkins and Kelvin Ridley. So pick your poison on who you want to cover on that side of things. But then obviously Will Levi-Jeans is going to be your starter now, Matt. He's got really no pressure on him, really. I mean, he shined in the few starts he got this last season, and Tennessee's going to be an interesting team this year.
Yeah, and they're interesting also too because they got one of those top 10 picks. I mean, they're sitting up there in the top of the draft too, so they could still snag. Like again, this could be one of those teams that pick a quarterback that one of these guys that one of the teams up top didn't pick, or they could trade up in there to get a quarterback. So yeah, very very interesting moves with Tennessee Titans. And it isn't wasn't Justin Simmons linked to them too as well? I think
I'm a little surprised he hasn't been snatched up yet, to be honest with you.
that
The
makes
safety market was pretty deep.
right, and I that makes me wonder on him. Like I
Unless
know
he's just waiting for the best deal, I guess.
is yeah. I mean, I didn't think he would be sitting out there that long.
Or he's sitting out on the ocean just taking a break right now.
He could be taking it back,
any calls right now.
chilling. I'm not taking any calls. It's on do not disturb. I don't know, but
I'm screening my calls right now.
you're screening your calls right now. But you look at that division with Tennessee. You got Indy in that division. You got the Texans, and then you got Jacksonville. I mean, are they setting themselves up like again? But you look at the quarterbacks that are in that division. You got Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, how healthy is he going to be? But they did sign Flacco, so you have a serviceable quarterback.
You have the guy that's in his prime, in Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
according to John Elway.
And look at he was sitting on his couch eating bonbons.
Yep.
Got a call and led Cleveland to the playoffs.
And
then
was
subsequently threw 5 interceptions.
oops. Oops.
Sorry.
But he was the comeback player of the year.
Not sorry.
He beat out a guy that literally did come back to life as comeback player of the year. So and he's in there. Then you got who's the best quarterback in that division? CJ Stroud? Because you can't say it's Trevor Lawrence.
Got to be CJ. Speaking of the Texans, they also bring in Joe Mixon. So
that's huge.
How is that going? Cincinnati was funny because they were like, we're going to release him. Never mind. You're going to trade him, which is probably the better deal for them to trade them.
Better deal.
For at least you get something in. But then Cincinnati subsequently signed Zach Moss, the former Indianapolis Colt, to a 2-year deal. So
who looked good when he got away from Buffalo. Zach Moss looked good.
Indy's going to be interesting because I think they gave the franchise tag to wide receiver Michael Pittman as well. So you hold on to him for at least another year. Indy's going, and you lose Gardner Minshew, by the way, who went to Oakland.
The Raiders. Yep.
Yeah, we're going to see him twice a year here in Denver. So that'll be – Raiders are funny. Where do they sit in the draft? Because they have to be looking to the future here, man. They have to be like, we can't keep doing what the Broncos are doing.
I think they're sitting 13th.
Because the Raiders and Broncos are looking at Kansas City and Chargers like, can we get one of those guys? Can we get a Justin Herbert and a Patrick Mahomes, please?
And that's been the conversation. Like again, I keep
Broncos
mentioning
Broncos used to be in that category of just long time. You had John Elway for so long, and then you
floundered around in the quarterback,
the midst of Brian Greasy and Jay Cutlers of the world and Jake Plumbers of the world.
Gus Farrat, baby.
Gus Farrat banging his head and getting a concussion. So
and who else was there? Steve Berline. Danny Cannell was a quarterback. Oh my God.
Anyway, so they were in kind of purgatory, and then Peyton Manning just dropped down from the heavens and was like, I'm here, guys. By the way,
March.
totally rabbit hole here. Did you see the trailer for the new Ghostbusters with Eli?
Oh yeah.
Hilarious.
Dude, my 5-year-old is on a Ghostbuster kick.
You gotta show him the old school ones though.
Yeah, he loves the old school ones.
I forgot their names, but I did see Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd have spots in this one. I totally forgot the other dude's name, but yeah.
Yeah, they're all so he's I'm caught up with Ghostbusters. And the
newest new one.
That new one. So the newest new one, did you like the one with the girls?
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but
I don't think it was bad as people said it was.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way to say it. It wasn't as bad as people said it was. It was a funny movie, but it wasn't. It was just a Ghostbusters.
And that was just a one-off, right? It doesn't tie
Right.
into this.
It doesn't
This
tie into
continues,
anything else.
because
It was
these ones with what's his name? Oh, I forgot his name. The
Dan
main
Aykroyd.
No, the
And
main guy in it now, Ant-Man. What is his name?
I wanted to say it's like Paul
Uh,
Rudd. Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, yes. Paul Rudd, who, by the way, ageless, does not age at all. He
No,
looks
he
the same
doesn't.
now as he did back in Friends, as he did back in Clueless. Anyway,
God, he was in Clueless. He was
Yeah.
in Clueless. That's right.
Stacey.
Yeah, I this movie, dude. Have you
So-
seen
but-
the recent one? The most recent one?
Because these kind of continue the story of the old
Yes.
schools, right?
Yes,
Obviously,
they do.
because the old school guys are in these. So
Watch the most recent one. Have you seen the most recent one?
I haven't.
If you can, it's a good movie, and it continues the story. You see the story continue from the first two, and it's Spangler. It's like why what happened and why he left, and then how everything still goes. It's a good one, but yeah, my kid is going crazy about this movie.
I forgot where we were, but
We were in the AFC South. Yes, we were spending time.
So it's going to be an interesting division because Cincinnati, they didn't really make much moves. Is it T. Higgins or is it who's there? Jamar Chase is kind of pissed off.
T. Higgins wants out. T. Higgins asked for a trade, I believe.
There you go. And a lot of rumors that Justin Jefferson might be moved out of Minnesota. So if they lose Justin Jefferson, Matt, I think Minnesota goes to the bottom of that division, honestly.
That would hurt big time to lose a guy like that. And you can't blame him. The guy's going to deal with the bridge.
Yeah, he doesn't even really know who his quarterback is.
Right. He's going to deal with the bridge guy and then a rookie guy. And then you have to wait for these guys to develop. And then you're going to waste his time and waste his precious years. And that's kind of like what they're looking at with when it comes to Pat Surtain with the Broncos. There's some situations where you're kind of looking at that. You're going to waste this guy's prime years while you're trying to develop a quarterback. So
I think the Broncos are going to hold on to him to at least after his rookie deal because they're not
at
paying
least they would be silly to do that. Yeah.
And then give him a 5th-year option. You're still not paying him much.
No.
Austin Eckler, by the way, who was kind of pissed off last season, held out. He got a new 1-year deal, but he leaves, and his very hot fiance, who I follow on Instagram, she's a dancer. They go to the Commanders. He signed a 2-year deal with the Commanders, so that's an interesting move. I'm sure she's going to love leaving L.A. for Washington.
Because Brian Robinson's there, too. That's interesting that they added him there, too, yeah.
That's a good 1-2 punch, though.
It is.
So,
and Washington, like I said, they're second. They got the number 2 pick, man.
Yeah.
Like these teams that are needy, that are just sitting there. Wait, the Chargers have the 5th pick?
Do they?
Yeah.
Did they acquire that from someone, or were they just that bad? Speaking of the Cleveland Browns, Matt, their wide receiver room is, pretty decent now, Matt. You have Amari Cooper, who quietly had a very good season last year, and now you add the talents of Jerry Jeudy, who's a very skilled route runner, Matt. Very skilled route runner.
He can break away.
Probably the best part of his game. But, maybe a change of scenery
Hot
will
hands,
do him well. Maybe a change of scenery will do him well. So he goes to the Cleveland Browns as well. It could be a good 1-2 punch there, Matt. I don't know. I don't know what Cleveland's thinking about doing, but it seems like, that just a quiet building team. Is Deshaun Watson going to be healthy? You got Shane Falco in the midst. You got that one dude who's got like 4 last names. I don't know if he's
Dorian Smith Jr. times 4, something like that, wasn't it?
Dorian Peoples Jones or Peoples Champ or something like that.
Something.
So
like that.
And he actually filled in pretty admirably the first time, and then he got hurt against the Broncos, and then he didn't never return, and that's when they called Shane Falco on the literally a replacement, by the way, and came in and got Cleveland to the playoffs, and the rest is history. But a lot of these movements, a lot of people were saying the running back market is dead. A lot of these running backs got pretty good deals, Matt.
Yeah, they did. Aaron Jones got a decent one. A.J. Dillon went back there to Green Bay. I think he wanted to stay there. Of course, Josh Jacobs was there. And you mentioned Zach Moss. And then Travis Henry, Derrick Henry went to Baltimore.
I think Derrick Henry only has 4 kids.
Only has
Travis Henry Had like
Travis,
27
kids.
27 kids by 30 different women.
And the Chargers picked up what's his name from the Ravens? What was his name?
Is it Gus?
Yes, Gus. Was it Gus Edwards or was it Gus Edwards? That's a big move because Gus Edwards, when he is healthy,
they needed somebody to replace Eckler. So
when that dude's healthy, man, that guy's. I think the Chargers. I didn't know. I feel stupid saying this. I didn't know the Chargers had the 5th pick in the draft. Now here's the thing. We know Harbaugh loves JJ, right? Why don't somebody go and throw some picks at him for her Bear? You know?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll give you a couple picks for Bear. There, just the same thing with Trevor Lawrence, man. We know JJ. We know Harbaugh loves JJ, and if they're sitting there with the 5th pick,
could be a match made in heaven.
I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think he's going to. I don't think Harbaugh's that.
Because then they give
that's crazy for me to say that.
A pretty decent deal.
A couple years ago, was it the season before last? I'm just being silly. I'm just being silly mostly with that because Harbaugh loves.
Don't be surprised though if JJ McCarthy ends up in San.
He loves him.
How long has it been since they've been in LA and I'm still in San Diego?
I do it because you don't really think of them as the LA Chargers. You think of them as the San Diego Chargers. As we all know what means what.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that team's going to be better. They've gotten better, even though the whole Keenan Allen the Keenan Allen thing tells me that was more personal and that was more they were just tired of his crap.
Did you hear what he said in his Chicago Bear press conference?
No.
So they asked him and they said, how kind of awkward or what's the situation when a team comes up to you and asks for you to kind of restructure your deal? And he basically said, hell no, I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
I'm coming off my best year. I ain't doing it. And literally like an hour later, they traded him.
He traded him. Yeah. And that tells you,
and
right?
He did have a very good year. Like he had 108 receptions for 1,200 yards, like 8 touchdowns.
Yeah. He was good.
So the Chargers wide receiver room is kind of
Mike Williams was gone too, wasn't it?
They released Mike Williams. Yep. They traded Keenan Allen. I know that Khalil Mack restructured his deal. And also, is it Nick or Joey Bosa who's there?
That's Joey.
So he restructured his deal as well.
That's
so
Joey. Yeah,
you got your 2 best defensive players restructuring their deals. So they did restructure.
And watch the moves that guys like Harbaugh makes, and it shows you how some positions are valued more by other people and not valued by the coaches. Because Mike Williams is a good receiver. Keenan Allen has an attitude problem. I never liked Keenan Allen's attitude. I couldn't really stand him as a player. I always used to love when Chris Harris Jr. would just lock him down and Aqib Talib, those guys would lock him down. And he would cry about it and throw fits. But Mike Williams, that dude's something. And I know he battled injury in his Chargers career, but that dude, I feel like he was getting back, or he was getting to where he could be a big force if the Chargers. But then again, you look at, I think the Chargers with that 5th pick, that could be a Brock Bowers position for him. That could be something. You see that team get a tight end again? My goodness.
Yeah, and they lost. Speaking of their tight end, they lost Gerald Everett.
Yep.
Guess where he went? Chicago. Excuse me. If you're wondering, Justin Herbert signed a 5-year, $262 million contract.
He's not going nowhere.
With a $16 million signing bonus and $218 million of that $262, by the way, guaranteed. So he's pretty much locked in there unless they pull Russell Wilson in.
That would be some Josh McDaniel stuff if Harbaugh went in there and was talking about.
Would Harbaugh really go there if he didn't like
no.
Herbert?
He's the whole reason he's there. He's the whole reason why Sean Payton wanted to go to the Chargers when he was talking about that. I bet you Bill Belichick wanted to go to Herbert.
By the way, were you surprised that Bill Belichick was not chosen anywhere?
I'm surprised that he didn't pick to go anywhere. Yeah, I am surprised he didn't coach. But I'm not surprised in the fact that that he's going to probably end up on TV somewhere. And
that would be terrible unless he's got to break away from it.
See, I think he's going to do that. He's going to go on TV. He's going to show everybody he's got this crazy personality. He's just silly, fun time guy.
We're on to the commercial break.
Yeah. Give me. I'll take the Cowboys on this one. Yeah. I
Yeah,
like
he would be
that.
terrible on TV unless, like you said, he's totally different behind the scenes.
He's a silly goose. He comes out. He's just a silly,
Do you
fun
remember back in COVID years
Belichick.
during the draft, he had his dog sit in the chair? That was pretty funny.
That was hilarious. And he's been on with I don't know if you watch Pat McAfee, but he's talked to Pat, just like Nick Saban's talked to Pat, and he got him to come out of his shell just a little bit. So I think we might see some of that, but I was surprised. I felt like Bill Belichick, the type of personality he is, the type of coach he is, he wanted to prove that he still got it, and I'm surprised he didn't take a team. I wonder what happened with Atlanta. Remember, Atlanta was like,
Yeah,
"Hey, he's our guy. He's wants it if he's got it."
They gave him like 5 interviews.
And then Bill was like, "Nah, I don't want it."
Yeah. Yeah. There's a Chick-fil-A in the stadium, but I can't get it on Sundays, so it's a deal breaker.
Sundays. I don't know if I really want to be here on Sundays.
Yeah, terrible. But yeah, I mean, big moves all around the place. I was really surprised by some of the deals the running backs got, Matt. Derrick Henry got a 2-year, $16 million contract with the Ravens. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch now between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And for as fierce as Derrick Henry is a runner, not really taken down by injuries ever in his career, man.
No. I mean, nicks and bangs and nicks here and there, but yeah, he's not. And this is going to change that offense. This is going to change.
I mean, do you see Lamar now running as much as he did?
I still see Lamar. I don't think he's going to run I don't think you're going to see the power runs as much, but what I think it's going to be good for for Henry is he's not going to be, I don't think you're going to see the 20 plus carry games anymore. This is just, if you got one guy that's going to work the edges in Lamar, and then you got the guy that can beat up the middle, and then you got Mark Andrews at tight end. I don't know who's going to play receiver for him, because I know
they still got Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers
had a pretty good rookie year. Obviously, Odell Beckham is gone, but
just the running game.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Mike Williams or somebody of that nature ends up in Baltimore.
Yeah, that could happen too. Big possession receiver, something like that. But yeah, I think that's that running game. It's going to save the wear and tear on Derrick Henry and Lamar. I really do think it's going to change the way that defenses play this team, because with that big X factor, he can still run downhill. He might not be able to catch the ball out of the backfield as good as he could, even if that was even looked at as being not as good as it could be, as like a Saquon is. But the power, just getting downhill, it's going to be freaking tremendous with that team, and then what they have there with Lamar. So yeah, it's going to save on both of them, I think.
Yeah, and another team who really didn't make much moves, Matt, was the Miami Dolphins. They kind of stood pat, didn't really lose anybody, didn't really add anybody. So, and this is a bubble team, Matt, where Tua might be on the hook. He might be on kind of a Trevor Lawrence type thing, Matt, where you got to get us somewhere. Like we put all of our faith and trust in you, and yeah, I mean, you're kind of crapping the bed at this point. Remember last year, Matt, Miami, obviously watching Hard Knocks as well, you kind of see the behind the scenes, and makes you like a bunch of guys on those teams. They had that season, Matt. They had that division locked up. They had a first round bye in their pocket. They had, home playoff games in their pocket, and then they just kept losing down the stretch, man. Losing at home to teams that they should beat, and then they of course give Kansas City a home game. Miami would rather be playing in 80-degree weather in South Beach rather than in negative 10-degree weather in Kansas City.
Yeah, it was cold.
Yeah, and I mean they just blew last season, man. And I think Tua is in that same category now where Trevor Lawrence is, Matt, where you got to get us somewhere, otherwise, see ya.
Yeah, and you throw McDaniel into that too. And I mean, Kyle Shanahan's still kind of dealing with the same kind of thing right now, still, with getting over that big game hump.
At least he's getting to Super Bowl.
At least he's getting to right. Yeah. At least I think that's what's next for Mike McDaniel.
But Matt, you're doing it with the last pick, and you're doing it with Mr.
I know. Irrelevant. I get it. I know.
Rather than a first round pick.
I know. And that's kind of where you're going to look at with Mike McDaniel. Like, or am I going to because that's what Kyle's doing. He's doing everything he can do without having one of those quarterbacks. And Mike McDaniel's kind of like thinks he might have one of those quarterbacks, but he still can't get over that playoff hump. He was in his first opportunity to go into Kansas City. To the road goes through Kansas City. The road's going to go through Kansas City as long as Pat Mahomes is healthy and Andy Reid are together. The road's going to go through Kansas City in the AFC. I don't care until somebody takes him out. That's the way it's going to be. They had their first opportunity to do it, and they just did not look like they were prepared, like they were ready to go into Kansas City and get a win with the way that they were. They didn't run the football. I didn't really think that what they did defensively, you could tell Vic was on his way out or he was already gone at that point. I think he was still there. I don't remember if the news was out that he was leaving, but anyway, there was just you could tell there was a lot of things that was a big learning experience for Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins, which we'll see what happens, how they go forward. But yeah, I agree with you. We're starting to look at Tua now as potentially one of those Trevor Lawrence type guys. Like, is this the guy that's going to get you over the hump? He's a starting quarterback in the NFL. You can't go off of that or go. You can't ding him for that. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL, but we don't know if he's a guy that's going to get you over the hump. Just like Kyle Shanahan's finding out. You can get to the big game, but you still need one of those freaking guys to get you over the hump.
Yeah, very true. And quickly before we move on here, Matt, I'm going to name a division, and this is very, very early predictions. I'm going to name a division, Matt, and based on all the moves and shuffling around that, players and stuff like that we just saw over the last couple of weeks, you're going to name the very early division winner predictions.
Ooh.
All right, Matt, ready? AFC West, pretty obvious.
Okay, Chiefs.
All right, the AFC North.
The AFC North. I want to go Cincy, but I'm gonna just stay with what we know is gonna happen. Baltimore, but that one's a tough one though.
Yeah, don't forget. Here we go is in Pittsburgh now.
I know. Here we go.
I don't know if you saw that number, Matt. Oh, I forgot where I saw it. Maybe it was like CBS Sports on Facebook or something like that. So Mike Tomlin has now had a losing season.
Right. Yeah.
In Pittsburgh, and let me see if I can find it. He has not had a losing season in Pittsburgh since he took over, way back when he took over coaching for the Steelers. Oh, here it is, Matt. So the Steelers themselves have not had a losing season since 2003. 20 years they have not had a losing season,
and
they may have not made the playoffs, but they may have finished 9-7, 9-8, whatever. Last season they finished 10-7. So.
With three coaches too.
Yeah.
Chuck Noll, Brian Bell. No, what the heck was his name?
I was trying to think of
Cowher, Bill Cowher, and then Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, 3 coaches in like 40 years. It's pretty.
That's
impressive.
great. That's impressive.
So anyway, Steelers have not had a losing season since 2003. The worst quarterback winning percentages since 2021 are Justin Fields and Russell Wilson.
And they got both of them.
And they have both of them now. Justin Fields since 2021 has only played for 3 years, 10-28 with the Bears. Zach Wilson is on that list, by the way, too. He is 12-21 with the Jets. And Russell Wilson since 2021, Matt, 17-27. So we will see what kind of difference that Mike Tomlin has on guys like Justin Fields and or Russell Wilson. So AFC North, you're saying the Ravens. All right, AFC South. This is the interesting one.
I'm going to go with the Texans. I'm going with the Texans.
Yeah. And a lot of these Colts they kind of, I don't know if they got better, Matt, but they kind of stayed the same. We'll see how Anthony Richardson does. He had a very good beginning to his rookie year, and then he got hurt. We will see. They finished 9-8. All right, AFC East, man. This is an interesting one too, because we just talked about the Dolphins. Bills kind of stood pat. They didn't really make any moves. Von Miller restructured his deal to stay. Patriots really don't have a quarterback. Jets, we'll see what Aaron Rodgers does. So,
because I think the Bills window is done. They need to do something
for years now.
Yeah, they need to do something. They haven't done anything. They're done. I think it's time for the Dolphins. The Dolphins need to run that division, and I think I'm gonna go with the Dolphins in that one.
Yeah, and again, I just mentioned that was their division to win, And I mean, they ended in a virtual tie with the Bills at 11-6, but Bills held the tiebreaker. So, and yeah, they just kind of gave away that division. All right, to the NFC, Matt, the NFC North. We talked about them in length and interesting moves. Lions obviously made it to the Super Bowl. They finished last year 12-5. Packers 9-8. They escaped with a wild card berth, and Vikings and Bears both finished at 7-10.
I want to say with my heart and my bias, I want to say the Packers because of the way they finished the year last year. But I cannot. That would sound like a whiny Packer fan. So I'm going to go with the Lions because they didn't get worse. I know the Packers got better, and the Lions they were up there. They were up there. The Packers are right freaking there though. But I'm gonna go with the Lions in that one. And like we talked about before, the Bears and the Vikings, we got to see who's a quarterback there and what they do with that. But they're looking like they're going to be better these next coming seasons, especially if they get their quarterback position right. But I'm going to go with the Lions. With the Packers, they're going to make it. They're going to make it close. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, very interesting division heading into next year. All right, we kind of talked about the NFC South, Matt. Buccaneers and Saints both finished at 9-8. Buccaneers are holding on to Baker Mayfield. They did lose guys like Shaq Barrett. Some of their linebacking core is gone. Some of their safety core is gone. So that'll be interesting to see. Falcons finished at 7-10. They might be, 4 to 5 wins better with Kirk Cousins. Who knows? And then obviously the Panthers finished at 2-15. They're just kind of a mess over there as well. Whose division is this? Is it still the Buccaneers?
I want to say, yeah. I want to say the Falcons because what they could do. I mean, the running back, the receiver, the tight end. There's so many options that and with now you got the quarterback in Kirk Cousins. So you're checking the boxes with Atlanta, and then they stuck in it pretty good. But that division overall is just kind of meh. It's not really that great of a division. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Tampa Bay. Yeah, they got Baker's back, and didn't they re-sign Mike Evans or?
I think they restructured.
They did something with him, so he's back there. And the running back, what was his name? Shoot, was it Williams or no? I can't remember. But the running back that they had going was starting to pick up towards the end there. I can't remember his freaking name. But yeah, give me the Bucks in that division.
All right, the NFC East. We just talked about the Cowboys not making any moves in the offseason. They did lose some guys, but they won the division last year at 12-5. Eagles 11-6, Giants 6-11, and the Commanders 4-13. Is it still the Cowboys division to lose, or will the Eagles overtake them?
I think the Eagles are going to overtake them. I think this is what I'm going to say, Mike. I think the Giants, and just hear me out on because I hate the Cowboys too. This is a lot of Cowboys hate. I think the Eagles are going to finish 1. I think the Giants might finish above the Cowboys. And there's a chance that the Commanders could be better than the Cowboys next year. Yes, I'm saying the Commanders with a rookie quarterback can be better than the Cowboys next year. I am saying that.
All right, you heard it here first. All right, NFC West, Matt. Obviously the 49ers made it all the way to the Super Bowl, or all the way to the NFC Championship game. 12-5 on the season. The Rams finished at 10-7. Seahawks 9-8. Cardinals, who are a mess as well, 4-13.
Ugh.
Is it still the 49ers, Rams?
It's got to be the 49ers. I mean, the Rams, gosh, they didn't look like a team that was dead.
The ageless Matt Stafford.
The ageless wonder Matt Stafford, the Jimmy looking the best looking dude, the best looking backup quarterback in the NFL is going to be there. I want to go that way, but yeah, I mean, if the court, do you think the 49ers, do you think they're just going to go into this season with Purdy again? I don't think, I don't know what other options they have honestly, but do you think that they're like, this is our guy?
Who was their backup last year?
Sam Darnold. No, wait. Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen. Sam Darnold was there, yeah. But Brandon Allen is their quarterback, is their backup now, I believe.
And he's not a starter. So
no. So, but the only other thing that the 49ers would have to do is make a trade somewhere.
Because they realized their mistake and they shipped Trey Lance off.
Got him out of there.
Yeah.
I just don't think Purdy's the guy. And I don't think that they really believe that he's the guy either. I don't.
By the way, did you see that meme where Brock Purdy, I think he either got married or engaged or something like that, and because they call Brock Purdy a system quarterback, obviously.
Yeah.
And so they had a picture of him and his fiance or wife. I don't remember what it said, and it just said system wife. Because she could probably do a lot better, I guess.
She could probably do, yeah. She's not the that's going to get her over the hump. Is that
system wife? But again, unless proven otherwise, I think it's still the 49ers.
I think it's the 49ers too. Yeah. I'm with you.
All right, moving on here really quick. Stretch run in the NBA, Matt. Only 15 games plus for a lot of
down
these
to
teams.
It. Yep.
Only one team has clinched a playoff berth, Matt, and that is the Boston Celtics, who are now 52-14, running things out east. Milwaukee, Cleveland, Knicks, Orlando, Indiana follow suit 1 through 6 in the play-in tournament. If it were to stand right now, look how far Philadelphia fell off without fake MVP in there. 37-30. Miami, Chicago, Atlanta round out the play-in tournament. Matt, again, stretch run for a lot of these teams, and the East. Remember how crappy the East used to be?
Yeah.
Back way before the play-in tournament, Matt. The 6 through 8 seed, sometimes the 5 through 8 seed had losing records. But now if it were like the old structured playoffs, Matt, 1 through 8 have all winning records.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls and I was gonna say Falcons. The Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks, close, are all
They're birds.
Yeah, they are birds, and they are Atlanta, and they are dirty. So the Chicago Bulls, I almost said Blackhawks, are 33-35, and the Atlanta Hawks are 29-37. Those two teams are fighting for a play-in spot. But remember, Matt, it was so weird back in the day. Really, only the top 4 seeds, top 5 maybe, in the East had losing records. But now, I think the East has gotten a lot better.
I agree. I would agree with you. Like, there's a lot of teams in the East that are better. They just don't know how to win. They just don't know how to. There's no championship teams in the East. I don't care what you say about the Celtics. The Bucks is maybe is maybe the only championship team that is in the Eastern Conference right now. But there's a lot of really good teams.
Well, neither of them can beat Denver. So.
Yeah, right. I know none of them are gonna. That's what I'm saying. There's no. I look, the only team, and we've talked about this, and you just said it too, how far they've fallen off without Embiid. That was I felt like they could be a championship team in that Eastern Conference, but I just look at it now, and I know people are frowning on the Bucks as well, but when you got Giannis still. And then the defense they play, they're not 100% healthy. Middleton's always, back and forth being hurt. But when that team's healthy, that team's vibing, they have a lot of championship pieces there. So, but yeah, as far as, and they're going to get better. That Eastern Conference, the Magic are on the rise. You mentioned the Pacers. We know what the Heat can do. The Bulls are starting to get healthy. Lonzo was cleared to do activities, strenuous basketball activities. Caruso's still there. Levine, I don't know what we're doing with him.
Yeah, he hasn't played in a while either.
Yeah, so they're getting better, and I know it's hard to say the Pistons are getting better because they're still 12-54, and they had that long stretch. I think that team's going to be better. So yeah, I agree, man. I do like what's going on in the Eastern Conference, but there's outside of the Bucks, there's just no championship teams there that are going to beat the Denver Nuggets.
Well, speaking of, a lot of people predicting it's going to be Boston and Denver in the
that
NBA championship. We saw Denver a week or so ago end Boston's 11-game winning streak. We saw them earlier in the season,
and their streak, their home streak,
and their undefeated streak at home.
Yep.
So over in the West, Matt, Oklahoma City and Denver keep exchanging first place. They're in a virtual tie right now atop the West, but the Thunder have the tiebreaker right now over Denver. Both of them sit right now at 47-20. Denver has won 11 out of 12 since the All-Star break. They've won 5 in a row. Minnesota is getting tough and tough as well. They lose the big purr, and they fell out of first place there because of the big purr. So and Rudy Gobert's in and out of the lineup. Ant-Man, though, man, that guy is just making play after play. I mean, he is – I don't know if you see him fly over like 8 people to block that shot to win the game a couple weeks ago. That was crazy. Excuse me. Clippers are kind of sliding, though, Matt. Yep. Clippers are kind of sliding. I don't know if the James Harden effect is taking place right now, but they are kind of sliding. They're 4.5 out. The Pelicans are on the rise, Matt. I don't know if you saw Zion's game last night. He came up big. They are in the 5th seed. Phoenix is kind of sliding as well, Matt. Devin Booker can't stay in that lineup to save his life. It seems like Kevin Durant has been the most healthy guy out of that big three. They are in the 6th seed play-in tournament, Matt. Sacramento, Dallas, Golden State, and the Lakers round out the 7 through 10 seed. I thought Sacramento would be a little bit better this year. They still could be a scary team in the playoffs, Matt. They're a young team. Dallas, who we will see a matinee event here, Dallas versus Denver this afternoon. Luka just doesn't have much help there. I know he gets triple doubles every night. Somehow he gets 12 assists a night. I don't know from who's helping him score, but Luka's like getting 30, 40-point triple doubles, man. So that's crazy.
Yeah, they still don't play defense though. That's what
I mean. They're scoring 140, but they're giving up 138, which is crazy. So that's the Western Conference in the shell right now. Remember at the beginning of the season, I picked kind of Houston as my dark horse. They've won 5 in a row, and they're on the outside looking in as far as that play-in tournament.
Yeah, but that's still a good team, man. They got Udoka there. That team is one of those on the rise teams. Sagun, my goodness, that dude is something else. Baby Joker, something else. But yeah, the Western Conference, like it's good. There's a lot of good teams that are.
Sorry, I said the Eastern Conference. You have losing teams in the playoff picture. How about that, Matt? All 1 through 10 seed all have winning records.
Yep. 36 and 32 with the Lakers down there bringing up the 10 spot. I just don't. Again, just like with the Eastern Conference, just the Western Conference. There's nobody that has an answer for what the Denver Nuggets do. There's nothing. And the Clippers are coming. Like the Clippers were scaring me for a while, but they started to fall back down to earth. I don't know if it's like you mentioned, the James Harden effect. I don't know if it's the injury starting to catch up. Paul George has been in and out of that lineup. We don't know if Kawhi is going to get hurt. When that happens, and it just turns into a one-on-one game and everything goes to the default with the way Harden plays. So it's hard to count on them. The Mavericks were, like we just talked about, we're looking at on a run with what Luka's doing, Kyrie staying healthy, the additions that they made but they don't play defense still. There's nobody in the Western Conference that can stop Nikola Jokic or what Nikola Jokic does. You kind of had a balancer in the Eastern Conference with Joel, with a Giannis, but you don't have that in the Western Conference. And Mike, I hate to say this because you know how much our hate for this team is, especially here on this show or just in general. But are we going to see the Lakers in the Western Conference again?
God, I hope not.
Because the Lakers, Mike, the Lakers can beat the Thunder. The Lakers can beat the Wolves. The Lakers can beat teams like that. And if it stays the way it goes and the Lakers get into the play-in, they're going to be playing the Thunder. They're going to be playing the Wolves. They're going to be playing, they're going to be in that situation again.
I don't think the Lakers will be able to beat Minnesota again.
Remember
they beat Minnesota in the play-in last year.
They barely beat. It was a rough game. It was a tough game. And I think somebody fouled out in that game. And if somebody didn't get hurt or fell out, I don't think they would have won. I don't think the Lakers would have won.
I think it was the big Purr or Gobert.
Somebody important got fouled out. And I'm with you, man. I don't think they can, but the possibility for them to do it is there.
And it all depends on Karl Anthony Towns, whether he can come back or not.
Because if
he does, how healthy is, like how much can he do?
Right.
On a meniscus injury or whatever it was.
Ant-Man scares the piss out of me. He just does.
And if you remember, I don't know, was it Jamal Murray or who someone said Minnesota scared us the most in that first round.
You can see it.
And they ended up winning. And they ended up winning that series 4-1.
Right. I agree with that. It's because of what what Anthony Edwards can do, and that's because he is one of those players that can take over a game. You remember what Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray were doing in that series in the bubble? That's the same thing that Anthony Edwards can do. And yeah, I don't. It's just the Timberwolves are scary. The Clippers are healthy. If they're healthy, they're scary. But at the same time, in a 7-game series, in 7 games, when you have to win 4, you have to win 4.
And that's what a lot of people are forgetting. Yeah, Oklahoma City's beat Denver twice or 3 times this year. But in a 7-game series, can they hold up?
Yeah. And I don't think they're too young. They're too inexperienced.
And I like Shea though. I
love Shea. Yeah, I love the things he can do. And that whole team is stacked, but they don't have the experience. They don't know what it's like to go win a game to go home, win a home game, right? And win a home playoff game, be high as a kite, then come back, get your butts kicked in game 2. Now what do? We got to go to their place. Go in and get your butts kicked in game 2. Now what do we got to do? We got to get up. There's just so much experience that the Nuggets in particular, I'm just talking about, that they've been through. I remember that San Antonio series, that first year that they were in. I think they were a 1 or 2 seed. I think they were a 2 seed, and they played 7 San Antonio series, and it went 7 games. I remember that. They had to go through those bumps and bruises, the bubble bumps and bruises, the being without Murray bumps and bruises that they have to go through. These teams like the Thunder, like the Timberwolves, the Kings. You can say the Kings did a little bit last year, but they haven't got that experience. That hardens teams. There's just not a team in the Western Conference outside of the freaking Lakers that have that.
Yeah. I hope the Lakers drown in their sorrows.
But when you still I know
mean, they can't even beat Golden State.
Can't even beat Golden State. They can't even beat the it's but there's
when
something
when they do win a game, stay off of social media.
Off of social.
Don't watch the news. Don't
watch ES. Don't watch like First Take.
Championship.
Yeah.
Let's hang another banner.
It's so funny, man. In the morning after the Lakers win at night, they're always on TV. You can always watch them.
Yeah.
And when they win, and I love waking up in the morning and I'm doing my morning, stuff that I do. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, yep, here it is. What's the headline? Are the Lakers back? Can they make a run? And then like 2 days before they were done.
The Lakers beat the Washington Wizards. Let's hang another banner.
In one it took them an overtime to beat the Wizards too.
The worst team in the league.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where they always run to, because everybody knows in the league. The thing that I love about the league now though is that the Nuggets, that nobody's they don't talk about the Nuggets anymore, is because the Nuggets are on a different level. Everybody's put the Nuggets on a different level,
and it's
smart.
Because remember last year we were all kind of mad that nobody was giving the Nuggets any promotion, any publicity. And Michael Malone even said it, and they called Michael Malone. They told him to stop crying.
Yeah,
but now I think they like it.
Yeah, they do.
Remember what Joker said? He said we're quiet giants, and I think they like that now. Last year was one thing because they proved everybody wrong. They were like, why aren't we in the limelight? And then they go and dominate in the playoffs. And then this year, again, they were like, the Oklahoma City, Minnesota Clippers, when they made those moves, are going to run the West.
Right.
And here comes the quiet giants. So,
and then like the Joker MVP he's not even trying. Well, he's not even trying to
last
win
year
the MVP.
He stopped trying.
Yeah.
Remember that.
This year, what he's doing is he's trying to get the number 1 seed. He's trying to get his team to where they need to be, and he's destroying the MVP debate. And it was crazy when I saw Stephen A. Smith come out and say, "We see how my show affects the MVP ratings," and because he went off on a tirade talking about Jason Tatum should be more of an MVP candidate, whatever, and then Jason Tatum goes out and scores 11 points. Against the MVP, wide open three. Jason Tatum is not even close to being at the caliber of an MVP basketball player right now. No freaking way. He's good.
Does he make everyone better around him though? Because there are already pretty good players around him.
The biggest problem that they have in Boston is Joe Mazzulla. That's number one. That's our number one.
Did you see him go out and try to block that shot? By the way,
Yes.
Did you hear his explanation for it?
No, I didn't. I don't even.
Because I don't know who they were playing. Who were they playing? But the dude, somebody called a timeout, and then you know how players just shoot a shot after the whistle, and he came out and tried to block the dude's shot, and they asked him why he did that, and he goes, live play or not, I don't want these guys making shots and feeling good about themselves.
You don't
even heading into a timeout.
You're a coach. It
was funny though.
It was funny. I remember seeing that, and I was like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" He pushes this. He doesn't know how to make adjustments. He doesn't understand his adjustments. He doesn't understand his rotations. Like this team, if this team doesn't shoot the three and they go lights out on the three, they're not good. They aren't a very good basketball. Jaylen Brown is not. He's not the smartest basketball player that they have on the floor, but he's one of the most athletic. He can do some of the best. He scored 40 in that game against the Nuggets. And he's more of your MVP than Jason Tatum, in my opinion. Jason Tatum's young. He's got that wide-eyed what's the saying? Wide-eyed optimist or whatever. He's wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. You know, he's like ready to go. He wants to be the face. But what he does on the court and everything is great. It's good. It's all-star level caliber, but it's not MVP. The fact that he was even talked about in the MVP was crazy to me. Was absolutely crazy. I think SGA is more of an MVP candidate, and even Anthony Edwards is more of an deserving MVP candidate than Jason Tatum is. Right. That team is just all that team is doing is gorging on a, like, I know we just gave the Eastern Conference some pub for being better, but it's still not as good as the Western Conference.
So I want to play this because I think it's hilarious. Crazy Joe.
Dude, he is crazy.
Crazy Joe explains why he tried to block this shot, Matt. And
Royce O'Neal.
So here it is. Yeah, so they're playing Phoenix. I don't know if I can get to where he tried to block the shot. But anyway, here's his explanation.
Into a timeout.
So you can test Royce there at the end. What led you to do that? And, what did you kind of see there that made you do that?
I saw a guy going in to try to get a shot, and he hadn't made one, and I didn't want him to feel good about himself going to the bench. Gary asked me about that a month ago, and that's the bench rule. Guys don't shoot shots in front of our bench to go back to their bench to feel good about themselves. If I'm going to ask the guys to contest, the staff's got to do the same.
Staff's got to do the same. Staff don't play, Joe. Staff don't play.
God,
the staff don't lace them up. The staff doesn't do stretches before the game. The staff doesn't close out. No, Joe. Hand up, hand down, man down. Staff doesn't do that. Come on, Joe. What are we doing here?
It was funny.
It is funny. It is freaking hilarious. But that's what Boston's working with, dude. That's
hey, it was a good contest though.
He used to play. He used to ball. I can't remember who he used to play for. I think he was pretty good too. But at least a good defender, if I can remember. So maybe it was just like, somebody's shooting it. I got to put my hand up, you know how you get that.
But on playing devil's advocate, I kind of understand his.
I get it. I do.
You're not playing. I know, but you don't want the other team. I mean, it was well after the whistle.
I get it. But you're not playing. You don't have a jersey on, Joe.
It's actually a good tactic. Again, you don't want that guy, a guy who hasn't made a shot all night, feeling good about himself.
I understand the mentality, but Joe,
I thought it was funny.
Joe, you don't have the sneakers on, Joe. You don't have the shorts on. You don't have
player or staff, no matter.
When he said staff, player staff, same rules apply. How come you ain't out there? How come you ain't out there D'ing him up, huh? Like he gets on one of his assistants at like.
I wonder what he's like in practice. It must be very intense practices.
I wouldn't be shocked if he's out there playing with these guys.
I wouldn't doubt it either.
Like I said, he used to ball.
Hard Knocks on the Celtics or something?
They should. Where's the NBA version of that? Because they should have something. Like, I'm not saying the dude was a baller. The dude balled. I'm not. Maybe it's just it, but he's a coach now. The staff included.
I thought it was funny.
No freebies around here, fellas.
Yeah, especially at home. You don't do that here. You kidding me? God. Playoffs? There has been 4 teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention, by the way. Detroit, Washington, and Portland and San Antonio. Nuggets just played San Antonio, Matt, and of course, all the highlights are showing Wemby blocked Joker's shot on the very first series. By the way, didn't neglected to show that Joker is a robot and he will adjust to you and then annihilate you from then on, and finish with 31 points. And Wemby ended up fouling out or had 5 fouls and only ended up with like 11 points. He did have 3 blocks, but
Well, when you're that tall, you're gonna get at least 3 blocks just putting your hands up.
I mean, the dude is 7'4".
He's great. He's tremendous. Don't get me wrong. But and did you see what Pop said after the game?
Yeah.
About
love between Pop and Joker. And
oh god, Pop would love if Pop had Joker. My god,
do you think it's time for him to retire?
I think.
It must be really hard for him going from 5 championships, the top of the Western Conference always, with the Ginobili's and the Tony Parkers, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, to going to Wemby and a bunch of G Leaguers, pretty much.
It makes me wonder how come he hasn't Nick Saban or Bill Belichick. At least Nick Saban.
I don't know. Maybe he likes the development part of it. Who knows?
That's the thing too, Mike. That he might be adapted and he might have evolved to the new way, however they do things, and he likes it. But yeah, I loved how at the end of the game they asked him, did you show Wemby tapes of Joker? And he said, no, I don't show somebody tapes of something that you can't replicate. What Joker does, only he can do. Why would I show somebody something that they can't do? Because Joker's the only person that can do it. Like that was a great freaking answer.
I did like his answer too when he said, is it good for you guys to play a team like the Nuggets to kind of, see what it takes to be a championship team, learn from it? And he stopped the reporter and said, hold on, like he goes, we learn after every game. We learn every game. He goes, it's not just the Nuggets, but now we see what it takes to be a championship team. So that was good of him to say, I guess, too. So, and Michael Malone and Pop have a lot of respect for each other too. So,
and I love Pop, and I know a lot of the media people, especially like the sports entertainers around town. Some of them don't like the way Pop handles media, but I mean, you got to put yourself in the guy's shoes. He's been doing this for how long, and he's seen how many freaking. And then now you got bloggers and anybody that can just go up there and ask a stupid question. So I understand from his perspective of being a little short with certain people.
He's kind of like the Bill Belichick of the NBA.
Yeah.
Although he's opened up a lot more because the press conference.
He's gotten better.
Denver, like I've never seen him really that open before.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot better. And usually with the older these guys get, like Bobby Knight, RIP, he got kind of a little relaxed in his older age, I guess.
Maybe this young team is keeping him young or something. I don't know. Yeah. All right, before we get out of here, Matt, wanted to play a fun game with you. Again, zero research, all reaction. Who if you had to pick 3 guys, Matt, 3 guys to never win a championship, and if you want to go by sport, we can, or if you just want your top 3 guys, I know it's going to be hard to make a list of just top 3 in all sports.
Yeah.
Past or present, to never win a championship that you would have either liked to see win or would like to see win one now?
My number one, and this is just number one, and he's a brand new Hall of Famer, is Todd Helton. Todd Helton would be my number one. I would have loved to see that guy win a championship. I would love to see that guy win a World Series. I would love to see that guy have a big hit that scores a winning run in the World Series. He would be my number one. And just everything that he gave to the Rockies, what he went through, what we watched him and all that stuff, Todd Helton would be in my number one. Yeah. And I think, and after that, then you're starting to get down to getting down to, because if you look in basketball, there would have been a time I would have liked to say like a Carmelo, I don't know if I want to say that now.
By the way, speaking of Carmelo, did you see that new Corona commercial with him and Eli Manning? That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was funny. Eli's like, hey, you just put him here, I guess. Yeah, it was funny. I think my number one right now
it would be busy that day, by the way.
Would be Todd Helton. I think Todd Helton would be number one. I got a golfer too, but I think he won a major. A golf's different because you look at majors, but I think he won a major.
Kind of my list. I I kind of kept biased off, so I didn't. I would love to see obviously Todd Helton win a championship. That would be, and that's the last team at least here locally in Denver.
Yeah,
to win a championship. So just the team as a whole, kind of up there, Matt. But guys like maybe like Allen Iverson.
I was gonna say AI. Yep.
I would have loved to see a guy like Derrick Rose. And I know I'm in basketball mode right now, Matt. So that's where my mind kind of was. But obviously, a guy like Dan Marino.
Yep.
Laces out. So I don't know if that's my top 3 in that particular order.
Like Barry Sanders too. Like you could throw Barry Sanders in there.
Yeah, I didn't really care for Detroit.
Yeah, I didn't care for Detroit either. But
I wanted Detroit win this year, but.
Like to see the player, because when you think of players that like championships would mean the most to, and they never got one. And I was trying to feel like there was a guy that I don't know if it was for the Avalanche or even if it was for the Broncos. That year that they lost to the Ravens, it was the Raheem the Dream. There was a guy on the team. Shoot. Was it Keith Brookings?
Keith Brooking? Yeah, he was on one of those teams.
He was on one of those teams, but there was a guy that I was like, man, it'd be nice to get that dude a championship.
I mean, they did get a guy like DeMarcus Ware a championship.
Yeah,
so he was one of those guys.
And remember when the first go around with the Broncos, what was that dude from the Chiefs? Big guy.
Back in the day or current?
Back in the day when we won our first when the Broncos won the first championship. Keith, yes. That was cool.
Neil Smith.
Big Neil Smith came over. We saw, guys like that. Champ Bailey would be a good one.
He would be
I would love to see
Champ
get one.
I was trying not to be too local.
I know.
But
it's
Champ would be a good one,
because we get emotionally invested with those guys.
And he made it to one, but they
got demolished
by Let's Ride. So
yeah, and that's where I go. Like it's hard to. I'm trying to think of guys that I don't have any emotional attachment to, and I'm like, I don't care if they win a Super Bowl.
What about? I mean, I don't care about this guy, but what do you think of a guy like Chris Paul?
Yeah, that's a good one because you got to think of how many teams he's been on, chasing championships. He was almost in with the Lakers. Remember, he was almost on the Lakers squad with Kobe Bryant, and then they mixed it. Yeah.
Well, and then you saw guys like Steve Nash and Karl Malone.
Gary
Payton eventually won one with Miami, but. Yeah, that was an interesting team when Gary Payton and Karl Malone went to the Lakers. That was weird.
Wasn't that a weird team?
Yeah.
It didn't even look right.
Yeah.
It didn't even.
And Steve Nash went there later in his career too, and I don't think he played more than 50 games that year.
I don't think he did either. It looked terrible.
Yeah. So guys like that, baseball. Besides Todd Helton, it's just hard to think of someone in particular who's never won one. But
did Julio Franco win one?
No idea.
I just went with the dude I remember played for.
I was going to say Albert Pujols, but he did win one with St. Louis.
Yeah, that's right.
Where he went to the Angels.
And yeah, I was going to say the catcher from this.
Larry Walker. If we're talking about baseball, I would love to see him win.
He's never won one.
He went to one with St. Louis that year. The Rockies traded him to St. Louis.
That's right.
But then Boston beat him.
That was it
was in 2004, Boston's first title.
And that trade was one of those trades where it was after the trade deadline.
And he got traded during the game.
That's right.
Because he was in the dugout like saying bye to people.
That's right.
That was a crazy one. Football, again, Dan Marino's the big one. Personally, I don't care if he's ever won one. But I don't know. I think Allen Iverson sticks out for me at top of the list. Derrick Rose sticks out to me just because all the crap that he's been through. One of the youngest to ever win an MVP.
Oh, God. The trajectory he was on. Yeah. Do you think if Dan Marino would have won a Super Bowl, would he be number 1, number 2 greatest quarterback of all time? Because the things he did on the field were tremendous.
I still think he's in the top.
I do too, but if that Super Bowl would have solidified it,
Super Bowl ring, I think he's still top 5.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think Tom is obviously number 1. Montana's up there.
Tom,
Elway's
John.
up there.
Yeah. And then we got to start talking about number 15, Pat Mahomes. We got to start talking about him.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Have to.
he's got to be in top 5 now.
He's
I
got
was
to
gonna
be.
say he's won 3 titles.
Yeah, we have to put him up there now. Whether you want to look at it as it's more Andy Reid, even though I can't. Do you think Pat Mahomes is the most physically gifted, talented quarterback that we've ever seen?
Maybe.
I feel like John.
Now a lot of people can relate to him because they caught him with his dad bod. So
Right. Did you see? I saw that too. I kind of feel like John Elway was before Pat Mahomes and was Pat Mahomes before Pat Mahomes. So I feel like John Elway is, but you can make the case.
yeah,
You can make the case.
most definitely.
Because do you remember watching John Elway throw the football and do the things that he did, moving and running?
There was a reason why he was, a gunslinger. Just slung that ball, dude. Like, I don't, in those cold games, Matt. Number one, I don't know how he threw those balls, and number two, I don't know how
They caught him.
receivers' hands didn't hurt, or, I mean,
Shannon Sharp said that
he just chucked it, man.
Shannon Sharp said that the majority of the time when he caught a pass from John Elway, he didn't even know he caught it because his hands were so numb.
Yeah, exactly. That's another one, Matt. Too. I would love to see like a guy like maybe like Brian Urlacher. Yep.
Brian Urlacher. Yep.
Yeah, still probably the best Bears jersey that I own because everyone else has been shipped off and fed to the Sharks.
Brian Urlacher.
What about a guy like Charles Barkley? Would you love to see him win a ring?
Yeah, I would, but he was a ring chaser too. He was chasing I know he talks a lot of crap about these guys now sometimes.
He did spend 12 years with Philadelphia. A lot of people don't even remember him on Philly.
Yeah, right. That was early in his career. Then he went to Houston, and then he went to Phoenix.
Yeah. What about a guy like James Harden? I could care less if he.
I could care less about that
which
guy.
Which sucks because I actually do like Russell Westbrook.
I would care about Russell Westbrook. I'd like to see him
on the same team, so it's kind of like What Vince Carter?
Yes, VC would be good.
T-Mac.
Yeah, because I like Tracy McGrady.
I mean, they are related. They're cousins, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of guys out there. Reggie Miller.
Reggie would be a good one. Yep.
We kind of talked about Steve Nash. We kind of talked about Chris Paul. John Stockton is on that list. Again, Russell Westbrook. A lot of older guys. Dominique Wilkins. A lot of guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Locally, obviously, guys like Todd Helton, Larry Walker, Champ Bailey's up there, but I don't know. It was just kind of a. What about Barry Bonds?
He never won one?
I don't think so.
No, because San Francisco. When did
they won after him?
It was after him.
Yeah.
That would, yeah.
Is it kind of?
I don't know, because it's like.
I mean, he's kind of.
Because Roger Clemens, how many did Roger Clemens win?
He won a couple with Yankees.
And then, because Mark McGuire never won one.
He won as a bench coach, but he never won.
But not a player, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm just kind of looking it up now. Greatest athletes who never won a championship. Barry Bonds is number one. They have Jeff Bagwell and Craig Biggio on here. Charles Barkley, we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Bonds, again, we just talked about him. Dick Butkus never won one with the Bears.
It's too old. I don't even remember Dick Butkus playing.
There you go. Patrick Ewing, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr., that's a great one.
Oh, that's a great one there, because that hits me home. That hits home, yeah, because I love Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, the kid.
And he never really ring chased.
I mean, he bounced around. I loved it when he somehow ended up with the White Sox. That was crazy. That was crazy. I got his jersey right away. But Yeah, that was a crazy time. I mean, obviously with Seattle all those years, he goes to Cincinnati where his dad played.
Yep.
And his dad obviously played the first father-son duo to hit back-to-back home runs in a game. Went to Cincinnati, somehow ended up with the White Sox. Didn't he go somewhere weird in between? Maybe not.
I don't think so.
Maybe the White Sox were that weird in between.
I think the White Sox were.
He ended up back with Seattle. So.
Yep.
Here's another good one, I guess. Tony Gonzalez, the tight end.
He never won one, right? Because he went from Kansas City to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And Atlanta didn't win nothing.
Here's a great one, Matt. A very great one. Tony Gwynn.
Yeah.
I mean, on the Padres for God knows how long.
And see, I was mixing up with Tony Gwynn. So I mix up Tony Gwynn sometimes with Kirby Puckett.
Yeah.
Because he won one with the Twins, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah, he was part of that wild one they had. Roy Halladay's on this list. We talked about James Harden. Hockey, Jerome McGinley. That's a pretty good one.
Oh, that is a good one.
We talked about Allen Iverson. Jim Kelly went to 4 straight, never won one.
That's a good one.
Man.
He had his chances.
Yeah. Can you imagine going to 4 straight Super Bowls, never winning? We talked about Karl Malone, Dan Marino. We talked about those guys. This guy's on this list, Tracy McGrady. We mentioned him. Reggie Miller, we mentioned him. How about this? Randy Moss.
Oh, that's interesting. Because they didn't win that year. He was with the Patriots. The Giants beat him.
Yep. 16-0 season. Oh, man. Steve Nash, we talked about him. A lot of guys I've never heard of. Chris Paul, we mentioned him. Barry Sanders, you brought him up. OJ's on this list.
The Oj?
Yeah. The Juice. John Stockton, we kind of talked about him. Local ties, Peter Stastny, father of Paul. Kind of mentioned him. Here's another good football one, man. LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah, LT never won one.
Here's a current baseball one, man, that I could care less about. Mike Trout.
Yeah, who cares?
He's never going to win one with the Angels, especially with the departure of Shohei.
Did you see his wife dominating on the basketball court, Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
She's freaking good.
Russell Westbrook, we talked about him. Dominique Wilkins. Ted Williams never won a World Series.
What?
That is crazy. Carl Yastrzemski never won a World Series, obviously because they were both on Boston for so long.
Right.
The curse didn't break till 2004. So that's just some of the names thrown out there, man.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, that is crazy. But that is going to do it for us here on the Wheelhouse. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, watching, listening this morning. It's been a couple weeks since we've been on, so we went way over the cap, way over what we normally do.
We Russell Wilson cutted. We Russell Wilson today. We're in the dead cap space.
Yeah, we also, we just had to go over a lot to get to. It is selection Sunday, excuse me. So the bracketology and the brackets will be, I'm sure, crazy to talk about. Maybe we'll start a elevation one and get that going.
That'd be fun. You think both CU and CSU make it, or one or the other?
I saw them on the bubble. I hope they both make it. I'm representing see the logo, but I'm representing CSU today.
It sounded like CU was going to be a 10 seed, but I don't know after last night.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, 10 seed would be pretty good if they were able to nail that down.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. But I know both of them are on the bubble, so
it's all right. We're going to be watching.
I was going to say, can't wait to watch more of my sweetheart. So
we're going to watch Boo Bear.
Yeah.
That women's bracket, I'm telling everybody right now, that women's bracket is going to be pretty good. Lock into the women's bracket.
Did you see that crazy scuffle between South Carolina and LSU?
Oh, yeah.
And did you see a homegirl, Angel Reese, was like, I'm not touching this fight.
She had a bad ankle, and she went to go get it checked out. And plus, Cardoso, I'm not going to go mess with Cardoso. The hell with that.
Yeah. And that Iowa-Nebraska game was crazy for the Big Ten championship. That was nuts.
Almost beat them twice. Nebraska plays Iowa tough.
Yeah, they do. But
those girls, man.
But CC had to step up.
Hey, and I don't know, Mike. I don't know how much college basketball you've watched over this past week. But
I'll say this: this is the most women's college basketball. I don't think I've watched one men's game all season.
okay, you haven't watched. I watched. My wife and I watched at least. We watched a lot of games yesterday, and we watched a couple games. And my wife and I love watching college basketball together. We did not see one player, Mike, one player that is even close to what Caitlin Clark does, or even close to what Malaysia Finwali does for South Carolina. There's at least
for USC.
What Juju Watkins? Yes,
freshman.
we can keep going on. And
by the
on.
way, thanks to Clayton Clark. Otherwise, I would not know any of these names.
There you go. So, for all the old white guys that are going crazy that women's basketball is better than men's basketball right now, that's why. Because it is better than men's basketball right now. Don't hate it, just embrace it. Go watch it. Quit being crusty.
Yeah, we were hoping that Denver was going to get a WNBA team.
We were, because they would have got. They would have been the number one in the expansion. Yeah.
Yeah, we were trying to think of names.
Don't be crusty. Go watch women's basketball.
Can you imagine if Denver was awarded that and somehow got Caitlin Clark? Oh,
and has Caitlin Clark and Joker in the same
actually
city?
Get to maybe perhaps see her in person.
I would go. I would buy season tickets.
Oh, you have to. I would apply for every media job they had. First of all,
just to go be next to her and ask her.
Yeah.
Miss Clark. Hi.
Can you sign my arm? I'm gonna have it tattooed.
I had a huge.
I would do that.
I remember I had a huge crush on Diana Travasi, and when I was younger, and she was. I think she was a couple years older than me. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, I saw her at some camp, and I lost it, dude. I never fangirled so bad, but I couldn't say hi. I was nervous. I was beat red. It was ridiculous. I love Diana Travasi.
So I go around, I collect autographs and stuff like that. So I got to meet Jamal Murray last week or the week before.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I don't know if he was pissed off because they were just coming off the only loss they've had against Phoenix. Because I went to that Phoenix game that they lost. They battled from 22 down, came back, tied it, lost in overtime. So I don't know if he was pissed off from that still, but I didn't really know what to say to him because he just looked angry.
Mm-hmm.
But
you should have asked him, hey, how was that? How was the UFC fight?
Yeah, I just didn't. I told him thanks a lot, and I hope you stay healthy. So I don't know if that's appropriate, but he was like, thanks, man. And I'm just like, cool. He did say dope ball because
did he?
I had that black championship ball that I ordered right after they won.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Poor
so yeah, I don't know if he was pissed off or what, but good old Jamal Murray. But that is going to hopefully do it for us here now. Again, thank you for sticking with us for way over the normal time we do. Don't forget to go to our home base, e5280sports.com. A lot of new shows starting up, a lot of new writers starting up. Yours truly is way behind on recapping and reviewing the new Walking Dead series that is currently playing right now. So go check out those articles as well. And again, go to the Audio Vault, Video Vault if you missed any of these shows, podcasts, and head over to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well at 5280 Sports Radio, and go subscribe to the Spotify channel as well so you can get these as soon as they drop. And once again, this podcast and all of our podcasts is brought to you by Pikes Peak Sports Cards. So go check that out. If you are local to Denver, you can go check them out. They are down in Colorado Springs. They do a lot of events, a lot of card shows. So go check those guys out as well. Once again, like our Facebook page, Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle, or Instagram at Elevation 5280 Radio. You can follow Matt as well at House Dad Matt. I'm at Sports Junkie 25. Follow us on X at 5280 Sports Radio. You can follow Matt at Matt Mascarenas1. I'm at Michael Spillin. Matt is in Facebook jail, so
I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
Yeah, he was posting some. He called me a rage tweeter. He was a rage booker.
I was rage booker. I'm gonna punch Mark Zuckerberg right in the face when I see him.
There you go.
Just square in the face.
Yeah, throat punch. Throat kick. What's worse, a throat punch or a throat kick?
Probably a throat.
You got to get pretty high up.
I think a throat punch would probably, unless you really know how to kick, you could probably kill the guy.
Yeah, I'd fall down before I made any contact. But
Either way, Zuckerberg's gonna get it.
There you go. Yeah, you might lead to Elevation getting put in.
No, I'm not. Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so stupid, and I can't even dispute it. I have to log into Instagram to dispute it, which is crazy, and I can't even do that.
They own Instagram.
Which is wild because it's like I can't dispute a Facebook claim on Facebook. I have to go to Instagram. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, that's the home base. You got to go there.
Oh God.
All right, we're going to get out of here. Once again, thank you for listening, tuning in, liking, subscribing, everything to make all of this possible. So once again, this has been the Wheelhouse on Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle. And for Matt Mascarenas, I am Marco Spillo. We will see you next week.